Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 FM.com. Here is the Z107.7 Local News for Thursday, October 30th, 2025. The family of the man intentionally targeted in a hit-and-run collision is asking for the community's assistance with funeral costs. On Monday at around 7:30 p.m., Chris Garcia, a 50-year-old resident of Morongo Valley, was killed in a pedestrian versus vehicle collision near the intersection of Cinelas Avenue and Hess Boulevard at around 7:30 p.m. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is investigating the collision as an intentional act of murder. No arrests have yet been made. Garcia's family is asking for help with funeral costs. A family member told Z107.7 that they are working on funeral arrangements vigorously this week, and they hope the fundraiser can help cover its expenses. The fundraiser's website says, quote, "Garcia's passing has left a deep emptiness in our hearts and in the lives of everyone who loved him." You can find a link to the fundraiser at our website, Z107.7 FM.com. A man on probation was arrested after allegedly pouring detergent into his girlfriend's eyes. On Friday at around 10:10 p.m., San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies responded to a report of domestic violence in the 80,500 block of Sandale Road in Wonder Valley. Deputies say the victim called 911 after her significant other poured detergent into her eyes. Deputies identified the suspect as David Tellis, 34. The victim was treated by paramedics at the scene. Tellis was found to be on felony probation. David Tellis was arrested on suspicion of battery, domestic violence, and parole violation and is being held at the West Valley Detention Center without bail. Yesterday, the Desert Region Fire Safe Council held the official ribbon-cutting ceremony for their new fire safety resource space in the long-vacant Fire Station No. 2 in Morongo Valley. Documenting the event was Gabriel Hart, who spoke with Desert Region Fire Safe Council's Justin Marino, who spearheaded the building's remodel and installation of their new offices and a community fire safety space.
Located on the corner of Bella Vista and Highway 62, Morongo Valley's Fire Station No. 2 sat vacant in disrepair for almost 20 years. With caved-in ceilings and water-damaged drywall, it was a near-condemned structure until Desert Region Fire Safe Council's Justin Marino saw its potential. Marino said it had been a goal of the council to find a home like this.
Driving past the station on my commute every day, did it strike me that we could partner up with the CSD and to turn the station that's been unmanned for the last 20 years back into a community resource. So with that said, you could imagine what a facility looks like when it's been unmanned for 20 years. It was quite the undertaking, more work than I had planned or suspected, but with the help of volunteers and our team and family members, we were able to turn it in what it is today.
With generous donations from Whitewater Rock for the exterior and grants from California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, Yamaha, and Southern California Edison, Marino says this doesn't cost a Morongo Valley taxpayer anything. Its emphasis being a community space where they'll offer fire safety workshops as well as a general meeting room and cooling center during the hotter months. I asked Marino about the ultimate goal of the new Fire Safe Council office, to make neighborhoods fire-wise.
Our plan is to have the geographic area of Morongo Valley split into 4 quadrants of Morongo north, east, south, and west. The idea around Firewise is to get neighbors talking to each other and neighbors to act with each other and to make their home fire safe, which makes the community fire safe. Some of the residual benefits of being fire safe is insurance discounts, but most of all, it teaches folks and it allows them to connect and to actually be able to make a plan, come together, and make their home safe.
Desert Region Fire Safe's focus is on Residence Zone 0, the ember-resistant ignition area extending 0 to 5 feet from the outer walls of a structure, including attached decks and chairs. The goal is to reduce fire ignition risk from windborne embers, the leading cause of structural wildfire damage. Morongo Valley's new Desert Region Fire Safe office is located at 9492 Sundown Trail, adjacent to the stoplight at Bella Vista. For more information, please visit desertfire.org. Reporting for Z107.7 News, this is Gabriel Hart.
An asylum seeker from Equatorial New Guinea has been residing in Yucca Valley since January. She was recently detained by ICE, and a group of local residents are rallying behind her cause. Reporter Adeline J. Wells joins us with the story.
I would take her to Walmart, so I would wait in the truck, and she would be in there looking at things for 45 minutes. And I would just be thinking, oh my God, they arrested her. They arrested her while I'm sitting here in the car. There is that fear.
Lori Portillo lived with this fear during her time with Rocio Bohili Mocara, an immigrant who lived with her at her home in Yucca Valley. Lori didn't realize how soon her worries would come to fruition and that the battle for her friend's freedom would be during the biggest federal ICE enforcement period in the United States history. Rocio Bohili Mocara is a 46-year-old native of Equatorial Guinea. Rocio became directly involved with the corrupt, authoritarian Mbasogo regime when her husband was murdered by the government in 2019. Rocio herself was routinely threatened by police for speaking out about his death. Fearing for her life, Rocio sold her home and planned to journey 8,000 miles to the United States in search of asylum, and she intended to work enough to bring her family to follow, creating a life free from fear in the United States. On May 18, 2024, Rocio departed her home country, a place she spent her entire life and raised a family. Rocio traveled by a migrant bus system through Central America until she reached Mexico in early July, hitchhiking and taking occasional trains. Women like Rocio would be forced to lie down between the train cars to avoid being pulled off and raped by gangs. Rocio reached the southern United States border on November 6th. She explained that she followed others across and turned herself in at the U.S. Customs and Border Protection port of entry at Sassabee, Arizona, claiming asylum. She was detained and transported to Richwood Correctional Center in Monroe, Louisiana. On December 7th, Rocio had a credible fear interview, with officials finding her fear of torture or persecution in her home country of Equatorial Guinea to be credible. For the next several months, Rocio resided with Lori at her home in Yucca Valley, and Lori said that Rocio began to make roots here in the Morongo Basin.
She was going to church. She was always available if you needed her to help with something.
But
she was willing to do anything.
she was itching to work. Okay. She would have loved to have worked.
She was always happy to be going somewhere.
During what they figured would be a routine hearing on March 14th in Santa Ana, confusion arose at the court when immigration officials said there was no record of Rocio in their system. 3 months later, at a July appointment in San Bernardino, Lori was waiting in the car when she was contacted by Rocio, saying she had been detained by ICE, who began the procedures to deport her. She was transferred to Eloy Detention Center in Arizona, where she has been detained since while awaiting a decision on her asylum. Lori and Denise are part of a group of local women who have been organizing around Rocio's case, attempting to petition for her release from Eloy via humanitarian parole as she prepares for her court proceedings. The local group has organized letter-writing campaigns for support, a GoFundMe for attorney fees, and helped source documents to verify her case details. Since September 11th, Rocio's case information has been listed as unavailable on the Executive Office for Immigration Review website. Denise and Lori remain hopeful that asylum is still in Rocio's future.
Her last hearing is going to be on October 30th, so we're going to know pretty soon, probably.
This is a developing story. One Z107.7 News will continue to update as new details emerge. Reporting for Z107.7 News, this is Adeline J. Wells.
The full version of this story can be found on our website, where you can listen to the details of Rocio's 8,000-mile journey to the southern border, hear about her detainment, and the efforts from a group of locals who are working to try and help Rocio from being sent back to the country that has continued to threaten her with violence even during her escape to America. Find that along with photos and video at Z107.7FM.com. The iconic Battle of the Bell football game happens tonight. The game sees teams from Yucca Valley High School and 29 Palms High School face off. The Wildcats come into tonight's game with a 4-5 record and are 1-1 in league play. The Yucca Valley Trojans host a 5-4 overall record and are also tied with the Wildcats with a league record of 1-1. Tonight's game will determine sole procession of second place in the Desert Valley League and the CIF playoffs. This year's game will be held at Yucca Valley High School tonight at 7 p.m. The 10th annual Joshua Tree Ennial is coming up November 8th. In contemporary society, alternative energy, space exploration, Bold artistic practices and alternative lifestyles have all sprouted from the desert floor. Joshua Triennial 2025 mines the inspiration, complexities, and contradictions of our desert futures. Organizer Bernard Lieba and participating artist Nicola Frunk will be the guest on tomorrow's Z107.7 Up Close show with Gary Daigneault. Tune in live at 10 a.m. The show is available as a podcast Friday afternoon at Z107.7fm.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And finally, whether you're on a trail, at a campsite, or in your own backyard, the desert can be mysterious. A class on Saturday will help high desert locals identify plants, animals, and animal leave-behinds. The class is called There's an App for That. It will focus on using technology to identify nature when you're out on the trail and how you can contribute to citizen science. Naturalist and desert advocate Colin Barrows is very active on the app iNaturalist, which is a app where people can upload photos of plants and animals. iNaturalist will suggest an identification, or the user can put in what they believe the ID is. If anyone in the area has used iNaturalist, there's a very high likelihood that Barrows has reviewed at least one of their identifications. The class is this Saturday, November 1st at 10:30 a.m. at Covington Park in Morongo Valley. You can sign up ahead of time at a link in this story at Z107.7fm.com. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.